बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दना व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर श्री राधे जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय श्री श्री राधा माधव राधा श्याम सुंदर की श्रील प्रभुपाद की निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. Okay. All right. Okay, so as some of us or most of us seems like in the room might be aware that we have been doing Bhagavad-Gita chapter summaries since last 5 weeks, and this is the 6th week. So it's the 6th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita that we are going to just quickly go through. So here we have the PowerPoint. Okay, so before we start, just few heartfelt prayers to our spiritual masters who have given this knowledge in proper disciplic succession to all of us. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so this This is not showing slide show here. Is it extended or something? I'm just going to start it again. Hold on. My laptop just finished 100% updating. So it's just waking up. So it's not doing slideshow here. It's okay. So okay, so we reviewed 5 chapters till now. So the first chapter top title is okay, Arjuna Vishada Yoga in English. Observing the armies. Who is observing the armies? Arjuna is observing. Anybody else observing? Krishna, Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra. We are also in the audience. We are also observing the armies, right, through Bhagavad-Gita. So, in that chapter, very interestingly, we are not seeing like as if we are observing. We are seeing Arjuna is observing. But actually, we are also observing Arjuna's observing. And we get to see what Arjuna goes through, not just the battlefield out there. So in that way, we are very special. We get access to different dimension also. And then the second chapter title, anybody? Contents of, yeah, okay. So contents of Gita summarized. The connection here is Arjuna observes all the armies and then he says, this is too much for me, it's overwhelming, I'm not going to fight. He says, Govinda, I shall not fight. He puts his Gandiva bow down and then he's like, I can't do this. So then there is a shift in relationship happens in the second chapter that Arjuna now takes shelter of Krishna as Krishna's role changes or adds on also as a spiritual master. So Arjuna accepts Krishna as the spiritual master and then Krishna starts giving immediately. He starts describing. First thing he describes is Dhyana Yoga. He says, first of all, you get this straight, you're not this body, you're the spirit soul. After that he says, so we know that the life is a continuum. If you want to be happy in this place and also in next lives or future, wherever, so now you got to do your duty. If you're attached, it's fine, but do your duty. So sakama karma comes into picture. And then he says, it's okay, but then it's actually better if you do without attachment. So work without attachment or work with detachment. So Nishkama Karma Yoga comes. Then he says, this is not actually cutting it. That's not enough for you to really uncover your spiritual nature. So now please practice Buddhi Yoga. It's beautiful, right? In one chapter, the whole thing is summarized. That's why it's contents of Gita summarized. And then he ends with Buddhi Yoga. And then Arjuna asks, how does a person in this Buddhi Yoga look like? Who's this? You were keeping on referring to Sthita Prajna. How does he look like? How does he act? So the rest of the chapter is about describing what a Sthita Prajna will do, will not do, the way he will think, act, feel, everything. So that chapter ends. But Arjuna is stuck on one point. Krishna says that keep all abominable activities away. So Arjuna thinks, okay, this war and this whole thing is abominable, I'm going to keep it away. I'm not going to do anything. So I will escape. I'm going to go back and do something else, but not this, So then he Then Krishna says, no, that's not what I meant. You got to do your duty. So then the third chapter is Karma Yoga. In this Karma Yoga 101 is given. Just if you do your duty, what you will get. The real basic things. And then Krishna clarifies that working with detachment is better than just simply going away and renouncing. Premature renunciation is not the good idea. So then when he says that, okay, you're keeping on telling work with detachment, we all know this, but we are not able to do it. Why? What is the reason? He says, lust only, Arjuna. Lust only. Then Arjuna asks, okay, how do I curb this lust? Then he says, cultivate spiritual intelligence. So then the next chapter, chapter 4 is transcendental knowledge. How do I cultivate spiritual intelligence? We got to learn this transcendental knowledge submissively, serving in a service mode, inquiring from a spiritual master. So then Arjuna again fixes up. Okay, now I just have to sit and hear all this knowledge. I don't have to fight. Okay, so every reason he takes, he just want to not do his job. It's like, I don't want job, I want salary. It's like that, So he wants all the perks without an employment, without doing his duty. So Krishna says, no, don't go there. I didn't mean that. What I meant is, now you receive this transcendental knowledge, work with knowledge. That's when you will get detachment. So now Karma Yoga 201 or 501 or whatever it is, action in Krishna consciousness. So then towards this end, he says, you're really not agreeing to any of it. So I'm going to tell you one other type of yoga which will also give you detachment. What is that? Ashtanga Yoga. All this is actually much easier. That's what finally Arjuna feels, So now the sixth chapter is Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. So that's the summary of all these 5 chapters entering into 6th chapter. So in this 6th chapter, Krishna actually describes interesting things, that we probably will not do, but, but he describes very interesting subject matters. He says stages and levels of Ashtanga Yoga in brief, because this book is Bhakti book. So there are principles given, not details, not too many details, some details are there. And then goal and result of Ashtanga Yoga is given. We will be thrilled to know the goal actually. It's not way too different than what we are trying to do also. And then Arjuna says, I have a flag, I have a concern, how to deal with this, And then Krishna gives beautiful responses, very motivating, like a, pep talk kind of, It's really nice. He should be on TEDx, He would really make it so beautiful, Krishna, So then he finally says, anyway, now you decided you will be a yogi, be the topmost one. Don't settle down for basic things, be the topmost. So now we will go into each of these in very short, bullet points. The stages of Ashtanga Yoga. There is always a beginning stage, there is an advanced stage in whatever we do, right? Even when learning cooking or biking or anything, there is a beginning stage, there is an advanced stage. And there are terminologies, I put it in the parenthesis, but we don't have to be overly consumed by it. But if you feel you love some fancy terminologies, beginning stage is called Yogarurukshu and advanced stage is Yogarudha. So here, why is this picture here is because until we go, or a yogi goes into advanced stage, this is not going to happen. So in the beginning stage, don't expect yourself to visualize Paramatma. It will be just your imagination. So we got to go step by step. So what are those steps? There are 8 limbs. And we all know one of this, or maybe 2 of these, or maybe 3. Most common ones are asana, pranayama, and dhyana, right? But before and after these 3, there are very important things to practice. So yama means what we should not do, niyama, what one should do, and then asana is postures. We have a yoga teacher here. So asana is postures, then pranayama is breathing exercises, control of breath in the yogic term. That's why it's not just exercises and then, don't go anywhere. So there's a goal for this breath control. And then pratyahara. Oh, I am ahead of myself, sorry. Pratyahara is sense control, withdrawing the senses. Dharana is fixing the mind on Paramatma, actually. If they really go on right track, they should end up in Paramatma. Otherwise, they may end up in impersonal Brahmajyoti also. So that's why there is a risk in this yoga. So pratyahara is fixing the mind. Dharana is fixing the mind. Dhyana is intense meditation. Samadhi is transcendence. Goal is attained. It's not as easy as it sounds. So now practices of beginning stage. Let us see the practice of beginning stage. That will be very interesting to note. We can try for 5 minutes, but we don't have time. We could have tried otherwise. See how it goes. They have to do this for the entire life, not just 5 minutes. So regulation in diet, sleep, recreation, and work. The famous verse, yuktahara viharasya, yukta chetasya, karmashu. Yeah. So yukta swapnava bodhasya. So you got to be regulated in diet, eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. It doesn't mean I will follow keto diet. I'm regulated. It's not like that. That's not the sufficient kind of regulation. So recreation, I'll choose the mode of goodness kind of recreation. That's not even cutting it. So there's much deeper science behind this, which we are not going into. But we can just know by the next few steps that how it is. Next is posture. You got to sit firmly, erect, motionless, staring at the tip of your nose. Not just for 2 hours or 20 minutes or 2 minutes, or its entire life practices. This is it. You got to be sitting and doing this. So imagine. And then discipline, control of senses. Today I will not eat this. Today I will not watch a movie. Today I will not do this because it's Ekadashi. That's not cutting it. That's not the control of senses we are talking about here. It's much deeper. And then control of mental activities. You can't even think wrong. My God. And then control of desires. We know from second chapter how desires flow like rivers into the ocean. Only a perfect yogi can keep the ocean ocean-like mentality, like mindset, to keep it just deep. Everybody else will just overflood, There is like flooding around in the family and society everywhere with one person's desire. And then steadiness. This is, if a yogi who practices Ashtanga Yoga come to this, then they are on right track. What is the steadiness? Krishna says, mat chitta. Your mind should be fixed on me meaning Krishna. And then mat para. The ultimate goal of your life should be just for attaining me. Nothing else should be your goal. But there's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I was trying to find my reference. That's why I laptop for Veda-based folio, and it just started updating every single thing. So I couldn't find the reference. But I remember reading, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when one does yama niyama, what are the benefits one gets? And then that can be so alluring and attractive, a yogi can get just, be satisfied with that and don't go to the ultimate end. And then imagine asana. You become so flexible, like rubber band or something, So it's really amazing. We know how hard it is to move around in this winter time in Chicago. All joints are like all kinds of noises and music, and you're walking around like a mridanga or something, everywhere. But it's not. If we can have bodies that are so flexible, why not, right? So we will get satisfied just at that. Or control of breath, withdrawing the senses, fixing the mind, have absolute concentration for 8 hours if we do Bhagavad-Gita from today until tomorrow morning. Everybody will be sitting like this? No. We know it's 45-minute cutoff time. So these kind of things, it's very distracting. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, better not to take exits that are coming on a highway if you want the destination to be at the end of the highway. If you keep on taking exits, we'll get stuck there, you know. So anyway, so the steadiness never comes in one sense. And then let's see symptoms of advanced age. Okay, Krishna's mercy, somehow a person has gone through the whole thing, which takes 60,000 years, which took like that many years of Valmiki, and then so many more years for so many different people. Of course, Dhruva Maharaj was fast track, but you know, what are the symptoms of such a person? Tranquil mind, peaceful, like, you know, like interesting. And then completely approach the super soul, united with the super soul, actually. Interesting. You can't do Abhishek and all that, but one is united with the super soul. There is a little drawback with just super soul platform only. You can't really worship and offer food and all that to super soul. You will end up eating because he's inside us. So, you know. So satisfied in transcendental knowledge, not looking for anything else. No, nothing extra. I want to do this, I want to do that. Nothing comes. They're satisfied. Neutral to all duality. This is very nice how Krishna gave in the Bhagavad-Gita. At the physical level, what are some dualities at physical level? Summer, winter, heat and cold, pain, pleasure, these kind of. So the yogi who is advanced becomes neutral to that first. Then at mental level, happiness, distress, you know, one becomes like very neutral to that. Egoistic level, respect, disrespect, honor, dishonor, nothing matters. That is really like steadiness, you know, advanced. Wait for the next point, it's really nice. Equal vision. At the level of matter, Krishna says an advanced yogi will consider pebbles, stones, and gold, everything as equal. And then at a level of spirit or people, they will not even differentiate between friend or enemy, well-wisher, or somebody is cursing, you know, like there's no differentiation. They see the spirit spark inside. They don't see anything else. You know, how the externals are or how one's baggage that the soul is carrying, they're equal towards everyone. Very nice actually. It's very attractive. But the path is not that attractive, but the end result is very attractive. So goal and results, again, nirvana paramam, cessation of material existence, and mat samstam, my kingdom, Krishna says they will attain. Interesting, right? But conditions apply. You got to be focused on Paramatma only, you know, not anything else. So then beautiful verses come. So this verse, there's an analogy in this picture. As the lamp in a windless place, how it doesn't waver. Similarly, the yogi does not waver. Yogi's mind and consciousness does not waver from Paramatma. That's the level that actually an Ashtanga yogi must be getting to. Very nice, right? Very nice. I brought my Bhagavad-Gita. Maybe I'll just read just that, even Sanskrit and everything looks so beautiful. Yata dipo nivasasto nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmanaha. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation. And then he says, when one attains such stage, they don't want to ever give up that particular, you know, sweetness. So they always just stay there. They don't want to step down at all. So that's the next 3 verses. So, like we said, it's very attractive, but then one has to go through or practice these yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana for their entire life, or maybe life after life. Especially in Kali Yuga, we just don't have too much life left, you know. We are all like compressed, like. So, you know, the Kali Yuga people don't have this much time. So Arjuna got the point. This is not, Arjuna actually lived in Dwapara Yuga, but he still felt this is not happening. So he said, yeah, I understand, but there's one problem, he says. My concern is, with this yoga, my concern is the mind. And he describes the mind very beautifully. It all is so poetic. I wonder, on that battlefield, he didn't want to fight. But the way he speaks, it's like automatic, like poetry coming. He says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Even it sounds very distressing, It starts off beautiful, but then it becomes very distressing at the end. Chanchalam, flickering. It's like a monkey mind. This or that, this or that, this or that, this branch, that is looking better, this is looking, it's like constant flickering, And if it's not that constant, at least after once in few days, it depends on each person's baggage. So flickering mind. Then there is turbulent and obstinate. You just can't get over this kind of, it's impossible to get over. That kind of pramati, madness in one's, that also is a meaning for pramati. Balavad, very strong. It's as if another living entity inside my head. That mind has its own direction and a soul just is weak and just follows the mind. It's like mind has it all in grip kind of a thing, So very strong. Dridam, obstinate. Dushkaram, he says it's very difficult to control. You know how capable I am. I can even control the wind. I just can't get this mind to be controlled. So he says it's not possible. So Arjuna says it's not possible. So I was thinking, just for our fun, we just have to go back to, where is this picture? Yeah, this picture, and see what all we have trouble with. We'll start at the first step itself. Yama, niyama, gone. At that only we will just like, okay, I'm not doing this. Okay, you become really regulated, maybe with past life practice or something. Asanas. Ooh, it's like gymnastic, reverse bends and forward bends and sideward bends and all kinds of things. And then you got to stay there, not just bend and just come back like a spring or something. You got to stay. Every single thing is hard. For Arjuna, only mind, he said. So that is actually dharana. For us, every single thing is hard, In general, it's hard. There may be some capable persons, but in general, it's hard. So he says, mind is all this, chanchalam, pramati, balava, dridam, dushkaram, I can't handle it. There has to be some other way. This is not going to be working, So then Krishna says, Arjuna says it's impractical. Krishna says, yes, agreed, it is impractical. It's not practical. Mind control is not practical, but it's not like it's not possible. There is always a way. It's not practical in general, but then there is a possibility if you really want to do it. So don't go through Ashtanga Yoga. It's not going to be easy. But go through something else I'm going to talk to you about. So that's what he enters into Bhakti Yoga. So what does he say for mind control in Bhagavad-Gita? In this particular chapter. Beautiful. He just gives 2 points. And then he said, this is all you need to do. So what does he say? Practice, abhyasa yoga yuktena, right? So abhyasa. So he says, practice. What practice and how to practice? He says, find what is suitable and then do repeated practice. So what is suitable has lot of content inside it. Actually, Prabhupada explains in the purport. But the content inside is what is suitable for this Kali Yuga, what is suitable for, in the way how you can put it in your daily schedule, what is suitable for as an individual, and then what is suitable in order to keep our duty going at the same time, get this also going parallelly, mind control also. And then he says, repeated practice. You can't just like do for a few days and then give up. Repeated practice, prolonged practice. So then he says detachment, Vairagya. So what is the qualifier for Vairagya? Devotional and determined. It cannot be just, okay, I'm frustrated with this, I'm just going to give it up. That's like Falgu Vairagya. There is a verse in Nectar of Devotion which says, what is Falgu Vairagya? Just out premature renunciation, thinking that this is not useful for me for Krishna consciousness. But we don't think how it can be useful, but then give up prematurely. That is premature renunciation. So Vairagya has to be purposeful. What is the purpose? To increase our connection with Krishna and increase our relationship with spiritual master. That's the Vairagya. So then finally he says one kind of sutra. Okay, I understand, practice detachment, but then in simple terms, I'll tell you, bring it back. Bring the mind back. Yato nishchalati, manas chanchalam astiram. Mana is chanchalam, flickering, astiram, unsteady, but every time it goes all over, don't get bewildered, bring it back. Bring it back. So it's very simple formula in one sense. Then we don't have to be overwhelmed for, oh my God, how many times I'm bringing back. Actually, every time we are bringing back, that's an offering to Krishna. So actually, every time we get gone, we get an opportunity to bring it back. So then, finally, who can be a yogi? In Ashtanga Yoga, who can be a yogi? One who controls the mind. But who can control the mind? One who is a yogi. This is the Bhakti Yogi approach. Ashtanga Yogi has to first control the mind. Bhakti Yogi has to just engage in yoga, and mind control is a side effect or expected effect. So that's the essence that Krishna is getting to. And then he says, anyway, you decided, a yogi, I explained to you, a yogi is better than ascetic, who stands there and on one leg and just meditates for ages. Because just asceticism is not going to make you a yogi. Yogi means link, connection with God has been established. Connection with Supreme Absolute Truth is established. Ascetic is just practicing something without a goal. Until they link, it's not a yoga. Until there is linking, there is no yoga, right? Then yogi is better than empiricist, or someone who is running after knowledge all the time. Not bhakti knowledge, in general, And then yogi is better than fruitive worker. Just doing the job to just get paid, that's it. That's all your goal of life is? No, yogi is better than fruitive worker. So be a yogi in all circumstances. And Krishna says, if you choose to become a yogi anyway, become the best of them. Become the best of them. So in this image on the down to the right, this, we can't see there. This right side, there's a yogi sitting in lotus posture, doing yoga. Then you see that in the next few images, all kinds of age groups worshipping Krishna, and they just become yogi from then on. So that's the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. Anybody can do, and at any stage of life one can engage and get all the results that one can get from Ashtanga Yoga sooner. It's not like, I won't say it's very cheap like that, but then it's also, the result comes in increments. How much ever we invest, that much result we start perceiving right away. We are not waiting until the Samadhi stage to feel any result. The result starts coming, right away. So that's what Krishna says, if you choose to become a yogi, anyway, become the best of them. And that verse we all know, yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan jate yoman sameyukta tamomata. We all know this verse. It's such a famous verse. But sometimes it just takes time to come out of ourselves. So here Krishna says, of all yogis, the one with great faith on who? On me. Krishna directly saying, one who has great faith, who abides in me, always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, renders transcendental loving service, he is most intimately united with me. So once you are united with me, you are the best of the yogis. Because that's what Ashtanga yogi wants to do. Start doing from now in Bhakti Yoga. Day 1, connect. You don't have to do day 1 Yama Niyama. Yama Niyama will help, but that's not the route. The route is to get attached, and then if something is not helping, then we get detached automatically with higher taste. So that's where the 6th chapter ends. So, quick run through again. We all know how Arjuna wanted to retire, and Krishna really educated him to don't retire, you're not ready for retirement, you got to do your duty. So work in Krishna consciousness. You can karma yoga and all these things, you're not interested? I'll tell you another one that can give the result, Ashtanga yoga. In Ashtanga yoga, there are 8 limbs. And then he says there's a beginning stage. You got to follow all this posture and diet, eating, sleeping, recreation, everything in a regulated way. And then finally you got to fix your mind on me. And you got to make me as your ultimate goal. All these things you do, then you win. Otherwise you don't. And then an advanced yogi, how do they look? Tranquil mind, their equal vision, they have equanimity towards even dualities, not just people. Everything becomes it's not intellectual adjustment, it's an internal adjustment happens by this practice. Then Arjuna says, nope, it's not happening because the mind is the biggest thing that I'm battling with. And this yoga seems to be too dry for me. So then Krishna just gives tips, practice detachment, bring the mind back. That's all. Practice detachment, bring the mind back. If we just remember this for the entire, that's even fine. So practice detachment, bring the mind back, he says. And then he says, be a yogi, be the topmost. Don't settle down for lower things because it's not going to give you happiness. So just be a topmost yogi. That's the 6th chapter. And tomorrow we have an exciting opportunity to fix our mind actually. Krishna, who taught Bhagavad-Gita 5,000 years ago, expanded. We know Balaram. And Balaram again taught ago. So 500 years back again they came, Krishna and Balaram, to teach the same thing in a more, like a role model way. And the best of teachers is Krishna. And in 5,000 years ago, the best of teachers 500 years ago is Lord Nityananda. He is coming tomorrow. So it's his birthday or appearance day. So that's very nice day to try to fix our mind on Krishna because he helps out a lot. He helps really a lot. So tomorrow evening, we have opportunity to become a yogi or advance in our yoga with our program starting at 5:30. It's not even Ashtanga yoga, we can dance actually. We don't have to sit straight and stare at the tip of the nose, we can happily stare at the deities. So we have colorful things to see, experience, listen. So please come at 5:30 tomorrow. I think it's 5:30, right? 5:30 onwards, Kirtan starts. And then 6:30, we have Balaram Prasad Prabhu, who's going to speak to us some glories and pastimes of Lord Nityananda to make us all yogis. So thank you so much. That's it. And we have a few minutes if there is any thoughts. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
and he takes him to the forest, right? And he tells him to start with the Ashtanga Yoga. But from your class, we understand that Bhakti Is Yoga is the faster process.
Yeah.
And in fact, also is teaching Arjuna, this is the best process.
Yes.
But I don't know why that
Why Vidura suggested?
suggested the Ashtanga Yoga. Of course, he was successful. If I understand and read, he was up. Then he was both Gandhari and actually this happened. Right?
Yeah.
But what was the suggestion?
Yeah.
That was kind of my
Very nice question. This is very understand why a Mahatma like Vidura proposed Ashtanga Yoga to a struggling soul who is so attached. Dhritarashtra is like multi-million times attached kind of person. And towards the tail end of his life, he didn't tell meditate on Krishna. He told go perform your impersonal almost meditation. I heard a few lectures about this particular point. The message to Dhritarashtra was in that platform because he had committed a lot of offenses towards Krishna's devotees, the Pandavas. He was not ready for really accepting Krishna as the Supreme. He was accepting kind of like at an intellectual, fearful platform. He didn't accept at a heart platform. He accepted kind of when Krishna went as a messenger to the Kaurava assembly and he showed his partial kind of universal form. And Duryodhan and nobody actually even cared. Dhritarashtra kind of like got a fearful kind of feel. He kind of got an idea, this Krishna is not an ordinary person. He is, as Bhishma says, Vidura says, he is actually Supreme Lord. But then he did not really accept from the heart platform. And he maintained and cultivated Duryodhan. He didn't abort Duryodhan. He did not abort in the sense not abort as a child, but I'm saying he did not stop Duryodhan from doing what he was doing. So he did not abort his activities. So he wasn't ready. So Vidura understood. So he said, okay, at least take the basic step. Relieve yourself, become a clean slate. So you can hear Krishna Katha. That's what I've heard. So there are few different conclusions also in some places. In some places it says that Dhritarashtra was done and he was sinless now, he went back or to Godhead. But then also we also hear that no, with Dhritarashtra did not go back to Godhead. The liberation that he got was impersonal liberation. He became a clean slate by practicing that. He burnt his sins through the fire of yoga. That's what I've heard. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. Yes, Mukunda Prabhu. Yeah.
So I'm just wanting to understand
What is the practice? In that he says suitable practice, and I remember reading and hearing the suitable practice means you got to see the context and Acharya's commentaries. For each yuga, the suitable practice is different. So for this Kali Yuga, the suitable practice is Harinam, chanting. And what will nourish our connection with Harinam is Harikatha. So it's basically glorifying Krishna's name, form, pastimes, activities that will come under two limbs, two things for us, Shravanam, Kirtanam. So that is the suitable practice that, Prabhupada explains. He does say suitable practice. He's not giving a big lecture there, Krishna, but he's saying sutras and Prabhupada expands. Yeah. Thank you. Sanjay Prabhu, last question. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. I just wanted to get a little clarification say that the other option Krishna gave to Arjuna was Bhakti Yoga, where you can engage easily and everything else comes, you know. So I have that thought before part dilemma about, because when we engage in a bhakti, the hierarchy is not there in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you end up doing everything else, you know, yama, niyama, because you have to practice chanting regularly, bringing your mind back and concentrate. So I'm thinking, you know, then why bhakti is easy?
Why bhakti is easy? Because when we see the 9 stages of bhakti, there is Adav Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, and so on, right? The stage that we are talking about here is Sadhu Sangha and Bhajana Kriya. It's already an anga of bhakti. You're not progressing towards bhakti, you're progressing towards advanced stages of bhakti, but we are already a bhakti yogi from the beginning, whether we have taste or not. Yeah. Shravanam started and we already are doing Kirtanam, and then rest of the things that we modify our lifestyles. That is for enhancing that. And by how are we able to do the next day? Because there is already higher taste. If one meal we have something that's not very conducive to our yoga practice, we identify, we figure it out. We know, okay, 2 meals you had something that's conducive. Third one, why are you doing it? You already got a taste. We may have distractions because mind is turbulent. But then we got a taste. That's why we are not, like going along and just coming back to the practice. So, and just by endeavoring itself is Bhakti Yoga. That's the beauty. Endeavoring is not like separate limb. Bhakti Yoga is super because you just endeavor and you are considered to be a yogi. That's the beauty, and that's why it's easy. That's why it's easy. Yeah, we are not expected to be perfect, ever. And we cannot be also. So, yeah, so that's the beauty, and that's why it's easy. Because in Ashtanga, you got to be perfect in what you're doing. One limb after the other limb after the other limb, you got to perfect that before bucket. It's like going from first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth, it's like that. But in Bhakti Yoga, you're in all grades all the time, going back and forth. But, but you perfect your realization as and how much incrementally, how much ever proportion we are investing. But it's not buckets. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so I think it's 5 minutes. You have something? Thank you so much for coming. Keep coming as long as the temple is, Krishna willing, open. Stays open, and then we'll have a final mass opening in August also. So till then, we have to keep this vibration going. Thank you so much. And tomorrow again is the wonderful day. Fasting till noon, if you would like to. And you can contemplate, think, read, hear. I said the wrong order. Read, hear, contemplate about Lord Nityananda. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Shatarupa Mataji, for a wonderful class. We have an announcement. After this, there's prasadam, and we were expecting more guests, but we have less, so feel free to take 2 boxes each. And another announcement is that masks are mandatory, whether it's adult or child. Everyone should have a mask, and specifically, the cloth masks are not allowed. Either have a 3-ply mask or N95 mask. And like Shatarupa Mataji said, we have announced in August there will be the grand opening of the new temple. And leading up to that, there will be many, many activities, beginning from March, April, May, and so on. So we encourage everyone to participate. For example, in May, we have Hema Malini coming. So we will have a program with her. Then before that, April, Srila Prabhupada will be coming. And then May. And we also are planning to have Gaur Gopal Prabhu come. So as there's leading up to August, there will be lots and lots of activities. And this is an opportunity to involve in this temple building and this Bhakti Yoga. This is the Bhakti Yoga devotional service. So please come forward and let me or Premananda Mataji or any one of us know you are interested, and we'll involve you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.